Who is God? What is God? This question has been asked repeatedly for thousands of years. This is a really good question because not many people know who he or she is, or whatever you want to call it, really is. While I believe that God exists, whether you believe it or not, it is up to you to decide my short talk. In my opinion, God is the immortal, the indestructible one, the unseen hero who protects us from all our miseries. He's the one who guides us to where we want to become in this world. But in order for him to do that, we need one thing, which is faith. And when there's faith, there's hope. And when there's hope, there's a higher chance of you becoming successful, or at least in a better position in life from where you are right now at this point. And now, everyone in this world wants to become happy, and that is a basic concept in human nature. It is a suggestion that we take a step towards God, and to show God that we are willing to follow His footsteps. Let me tell a little story that occurred a couple of months ago. So, my mother's father had a severe heart failure for the past couple of months, and was recently hospitalized. My mother was worried and decided to go to India. But then my dad asked her, when do you want to go? Wednesday or Thursday? My mother thought for a moment and decided that she wanted to go on Thursday instead. So she told him to look for flights on that day. And while he was looking for those flights, something inside of her, something told her to go earlier for the better. And then, an hour later, my mother decided to go on Wednesday instead. So she went to Madurai, India at around 8:30 p.m. And as soon as she got off the airport, she went straight to the hospital. And the whole night, she and her father were spending time together. And her mother was making sure that he was okay and comfortable. But then, suddenly, that day, early morning, her father passed away. So, what might we conclude from this? What made my mom change her mind of going on Wednesday instead of Thursday? Well, since my mother was having hope and faith in God, God granted her the wish of changing her thoughts of going earlier instead, by changing her eternal thoughts. You may not be able to see Him, but believe in Him and He will guide you. He's technically the illusion of our brain, and that is why God is great. Well, now there's a statement made that terrible incidents occur, and the only explanation to that is punishment from God. The basic teachings include the 5 human values: truth, right conduct, peace, love, and nonviolence. God expects us to achieve these 5 aspects, but obviously we are human, and humans make mistakes. However, there are bad people in this world, and those bad people purposely do bad things. Even the good make mistakes, but they don't consistently show that they're being a negative person in this world. Furthermore, in reality, my mother's sister came 2 days later, and this could be interpreted as she wasn't deserved or worthy enough to see her father before he leaves the earth. This is what I believe occurred. Now, in Hinduism, we practice doing meditation, singing rituals, going for services. Why do we do all of this? We do this because we want to become closer to God. And as you may know, in the Hindu religion, there are thousands of gods. But all that matters is that we choose the one who we want to believe in the most, such as Shiva or Vishnu. Well, back to my point. Why do we do these positive deeds? Well, we do this because we believe that when God notices us, that He will remove the bad or negative energies that is coming from the cruel people around the world. People who are atheists, or in other words, people who don't believe in God, may say that, I'm happy and rich, I don't need to believe in God. Well, my first question for you is, why are people atheists these days? People are atheists because they believe that God is not helping them in any of their problems, and that they don't need God to live a life. Well, I'm sorry, but haven't you heard of karma? Karma is nothing but Newton's third law. What is Newton's third law? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. In karma definition, it means every bad or good thing you do in life, the same amount will come back to you in the future. Well, my point here is that not only the rich, but the poor can also come up to a better life. Physics experts such as Andrew Steen states that faith is not an option. And there have been stories of a beggar who had nothing except his full devotion to God. And later on, after many, many years, he soon became a professor in a school. He may not be the best, but at least now he has a home, he has a family, he has a job, he has money. And he has a better life than before. Why? Because he has faith in God. So what we see here is that he is there in our hearts. We just have to keep believing and believing. And soon, when the time is right, he'll come to you. Now this is where science comes along. And I would just like to talk about this very special man named Master Chokok Sui. Master Chokok Sui is an ordinary man like all of us. He was born and brought up in the Philippines and went to the US for his doctorate. He was technically the first person to discover how science was connected to God and spirituality, which was the great pranic healing which he invented. Theosophy is a system of belief based on the mystical insight into the nature of God and the soul. It is the understanding of why we are here on this earth and for what purpose. According to Master Chokok Sui, he says, the existence of God is self-evident, that it is amazing that those with eyes do not see. And then he goes on with a few more examples, such as, the existence of the camera factory is self-evident by the existence of the camera. The existence of God is self-evident by the existence of the human brain, which is far more complicated than the most advanced computers ever built. So, from this understanding, the existence of God can only be felt and not recognized through the physical body. But this does not mean that God does not exist. It's just that he cannot be seen. For example, electricity was discovered around 200 years ago. But does that mean that electricity could not be found 1,000 years ago or 1,000,000 years ago? Energy was still there on this earth. What is the law of energy? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. This is the same way with God. He was there from the very beginning. It's just that we are still ignorant to realize that he or she actually existed. You see what I mean? If we can invent the light bulb or discover electricity, why don't we start believing, having faith that God actually exists? Now, it is coming to the end of my talk, and I would just like to say that the purpose of my speech today was to encourage people to think twice and to realize that there is more to this world. With all that information, these things cannot be explained through words, but must be felt by the heart. Overall, my theory is that the purpose of life is to evolve and to eliminate ignorance, to follow the path of God and spirituality. In this way, one can attain wisdom and can understand the true nature of mankind and the purpose of our life on earth. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Hope you enjoyed it.